Has done the equivalent of that rather dozens of times every day for the past 225 days. You see, George is on a cross-Canada walk to raise money and awareness for organ donation. CKY5 Salisha Partap caught up with him as he arrived in downtown Winnipeg.
This is George Marcello. He's on a mission to raise awareness about organ transplant. At a red light, he goes from car to car asking for donations to help his cause.
It's going towards Step-by-Step Organ Transplant Association.
George has been on the road for 225 days. He started his journey in Toronto and is now making his way through the prairies.
The final decision has to be made by the family. Thank you. Thanks a lot, bud.
In 1995, George received a liver transplant that saved his life. He's walking across Canada to show his gratitude to the family that helped give him a second chance.
I want to say thank you to that family. I want to acknowledge that decision that they made. That was an awesome decision.
His goal is to raise awareness and educate the public about the shortages and benefits of organ and tissue donations. This torch has traveled through 491 cities. It symbolizes hope, harmony, and the many people waiting for an organ transplant.
The torch symbolizes everything that we're doing. Represents harmony, continuance of life, and it's helping to promote the spirit.
As George marches on, he hopes to leave behind his ideas, experiences, and inspirations in the hearts and minds of Manitobans. Salisha Partap, CKY5 News.
Way to go, George. We'll have more on the importance of organ donors and tell you how to make sure your wishes are carried out a little later in the show.
All right, very good. Well, CKY.
And life could be saved with donations. So we need our government to put this to the forefront.
Nice.
Marcello is 255 days into his journey. He calls it the halfway point of his trek. 8 Channel meteorologist Suzanne D'Amour is back tonight.
Earlier on CKY5 News, George Marcello is helping to save lives by walking across Canada. He's dedicated his life to raising awareness about the critical shortage and benefits of organ and tissue donation.
We gotta get
he
you in
brings
a better
inspiration
jacket,
to everyone he meets. Today
Your
in
old
City Hall,
card.
some organ recipients who met George to lift his spirits and encourage him on his journey. Many of these recipients are thankful to have a second chance.
I think I was the only one that, I'm sure that everyone entered the operating room with a smile on my face because I knew that that was it. I was going to make it.
I wouldn't have been alive. I've got 3 grandchildren since, and you know, I mean, I live it. I enjoy life. I live it to the fullest, to my ability.
Here in Manitoba, there are about 50 people ready and waiting for a transplant.
Last year, 56 people in Manitoba got a second chance at life.
The Manitoba Transplant Program wants to encourage more Manitobans to save lives and donate their organs.
We encourage all Manitobans to sign the back of a driver's license or pick up a donor card if they don't drive and sign a donor card. But the most important part of that piece is to make sure they discuss their wishes with their families.
A dramatic
George Marcello is trying to save the lives of people who require organ donation. As Robin Hefferton tells us, he's stepping up to the challenge.
$180 change. Thank you.
This money is going to a good cause to help people who need organ transplants. For Rachel Kurtz, it's a life and death situation.
It's an autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks your bile ducts. It's been in my family for like 4 generations. My mom has had a liver transplant for it.
Rachel's mom says she's very lucky to have a second chance.
I am excellent, and as far as I know, I'm cured of my liver disease.
George Marcello is an organ transplant survivor who lives to help others in his situation.
I'm walking across Canada to promote the benefits and importance of organ donations.
George Marcello's walk across Canada will take almost a year and a half. His desire to educate people about organ donation started from the inside.
5 years ago, I was rushed to the hospital with liver failure, and I was told at that point that I only had 2 days left to live.
He received a transplant the next day, but it didn't end there.
Right now,
we don't really have like a registry, a national registry, or any kind of consensus to really find out how many organ donors we do have in Canada.
Most people don't even think about it. They don't sign their cards or talk to their families.
In Red Deer, Robin Hefferton, News Crew.
George Marcello hopes to complete his walk next January 28th in Toronto. Up next on the...
I visited over 500 cities and towns so far, and we have been giving Canadians the message of how important it is to become an organ donor, and we've reached millions of Canadians from coast to coast. The other message that we give...
Don't mind me. Well, this is our project. So, up here, so we're filming it. Okay, there it is. There's George and Constable Kate on the wall in the men's bathroom in Milestones in Kamloops.
A man walking across the province.
You're on the news, brother.
Today. Liver transplant recipient George Marcello is raising awareness for organ donors.
I've seen a lot of people not make it. I was one of the fortunate ones. And I found out that there was this very critical shortage of organ tissue donations in Canada. So I kind of took it upon myself to, first of all, to do a walk to thank and pay tribute to the families that lost their loved ones and donated organs so others may live.
Owen Sound is the latest stop in his Cross Ontario trek.
Make sure she's going to work those hours to schedule it. She said every time she's scheduled, she has an excuse. She should have somebody else who can come in and somebody is safe. Or somebody else. And if you take somebody else from another department here.
We're just asking.
Are you being sponsored by Nike or anyone for footwear? Or you signed a contract with Adidas?
2 years later, he's doing well. In fact, he's walking across the province. A gesture of thanks, a great big thank you, in fact, to the donor family. He's on the line with us now. George, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, you're walking across the country as part of the Step-by-Step Organ Transplant Association.
Well, actually, this year it's the province. Next year it'll be the country.
Oh, sorry, the province.
That's okay.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about Weibo.
I heard all that conversation. Yes, I'm doing around the Ontario walk, which is quite large. It's actually been about 1/3 of the Canada walk. I presently walked almost 2,100 kilometers, and by the time I finish in Toronto on September 30th, I'll probably have about just over 2,300 kilometers.
I guess your message is rather simple, that transplantation is a cure. You get your life back, you get a healthy life back as well.
Yes, you absolutely get your healthy life back. And I'm, doing this walk, I'm showing a lot of Canadians that, first of all, transplants do work. And I'm not the exception. There's many, many, many recipients that are experiencing, similar prognosis with getting not only their life back, but their healthy life back.
Well, listen, thanks for joining us today, George Marcello. Before August 1995, I mean, you were unsure about what the future held, but now it looks like you're on the road to recovery. I mean, you are recovered, and you're living a healthy life today. Thank you.
Well, we're hoping to get this message out to as many Canadians because we do need people to know about this, and we do need the rate of organ donations to go up and have more Canadians enjoy a more healthier lifestyle.
And the message is simple. Sign your donor cards. Transplantation's a cure. It's 4:26. This is The World Today. I'm Derek Oliver. Time for sports now. Rusty Thompson.
Donation with him. George Marcello's Ontario 2000 walk is designed to raise awareness of Canada's poor record on organ donation. But Marcello says primarily it's a chance for him to thank the family that donated a liver to him a few years ago.
The walk got started on June 26th from Toronto and Hyde Park. And so far I've got a footprint in almost every part of Ontario, and I've walked 2,112 kilometers so far.
Marcello is due to walk in from Cambridge today, arriving at the Hanlon and Wellington. A noon-hour reception is planned at City Hall, followed by a 1 o'clock news conference at the YMYWCA in the South End. Marcello is urging people to come out and support him.
You may remember last May, London's Doug Blackwood reported on the importance of organ donations. He spoke with liver transplant recipient George Marcello and Audrey Ortlieb, who was then waiting for a lung transplant.
We are pleased to report that shortly after that story here, Audrey got her transplant.
George is still hard at work bringing awareness of the issue to as many people as he can reach. Our Doug Blackwood continues the story.
He's walking across Ontario to raise awareness towards organ donations. It was an emotional homecoming.
Is to change that present scenario. Well, we're in that direction.
Good evening. The name tonight of a Guelph man charged with first-degree murder in a Hamilton slaying. 32-year-old John Hazer, others get the chance he did. His tireless efforts make him this week's local hero.
George Marcello headed off on foot almost 3 months ago. But unlike most people who take their cause to the street, he's not looking for money. He's after awareness, letting people know how important it is to consider a difficult subject, organ donation. It wasn't on George's mind 7 years ago when he was a student at Conestoga College. Routine medical checkup revealed a life-threatening liver disease. That's why George hit the road on a 2,000-kilometer journey around Ontario to say thanks for his liver transplant and work toward changing laws he takes in a very personal way.
One of them is the scenario where even if you sign your donor card, the hospital has to approach the family for the final decision. We have to change that scenario. It isn't a right scenario. We shouldn't have to approach a family at a time of tragedy and distress. So I'm trying to also address to bring a national registry to this country, which is far long overdue.
George knows it's a tough sell to people of this age, but he is turning some heads, including that of Steve Coleman, a Conestoga student who's taken up the challenge to improve donor card awareness.
I did not know that your families had to say that you were allowed to have your organs donated. I thought you just signed the card and that was it.
A serious message easily lost on people of this age. Hearing it firsthand helps.
It's not something we think about and certainly not address. It raises issues, I guess, for our everyday health and what we might be thinking about in the future.
What's your attitude toward getting a donor card after